Hi, I'm David Myers, psychology author and Hope College psychology professor. I'm here to help you learn how to make things memorable so that you can learn and remember more from your classes and perhaps get better grades as well. You might want to pull out something to write or type on because the first thing you need to learn about learning is that the more actively you process and rehearse information, the better you will retain it. Let me ask you, were you ever told that the best way to prepare for a test is to reread the chapter over and again? That the purpose of tests is simply to assess what you've learned? That you should study but one topic at a time in the same place for lengthy periods? If so, and if you believe these things, do you find yourself struggling to remember all those new concepts in your courses? Well, don't despair. There are more effective ways to learn. Here are some strategies that, if put to work in your own studies, will help you better retain what you're learning. The big idea, which has now been confirmed in lots of experiments by memory researchers like Henry Rudiger and Mark McDaniel and Gordon Hodge, is this. To cement new learning in your mind, what helps more than rereading is repeated self-testing and rehearsal of what you've learned. The memory researchers call this the testing effect. We also sometimes call it the retrieval practice effect or test-enhanced learning. So for example, in one experiment, Jeffrey Karpik and Henry Rudiger had students learn 40 Swahili words. Some of them kept restudying the words. Others retained those words much better if instead they spent the time repeatedly testing themselves on the words. And so the principle here is that testing is not just a way to assess learning, it's also a way to improve learning. We learn and remember material best when we put it in our own words, when we rehearse it, and then retrieve it. And that's the testing effect. And it's a phenomenon that I built into my text through the SQ3R study method. SQ3R refers to its 5 steps. S for survey, Q for question, and then the 3 R's. Read, retrieve, review. So, to study a chapter, first survey. Take a bird's eye view. Scan the headings. Notice the chapter organization. Next, question. Before you read each main section, try to answer the learning objective question I posed at the beginning. You probably won't be able to answer, but that's fine. Trying and failing to retrieve the answer is actually quite helpful to learning. Those who test their understanding before they read and discover what they don't know often learn better. Next, read. Actively search for the question's answer. Read actively and critically. Ask questions. Take notes. Make the ideas your own. Ask how they relate to your life. Then, having read, retrieve the main ideas. Periodically pause in your reading and rehearse what you've just read. Ask yourself, yes, test yourself repeatedly. To help you do this, in my books, I offer periodic retrieval practice opportunities throughout each chapter. With each one of these, you can rehearse what you've learned and you can check your answers and reread as needed. If you struggle a bit, that's fine. A certain level of difficulty or challenge is desirable. It's better than questions that are too easy for you or impossibly hard. And then finally, the last R, review. Read over the chapter organization and your notes. Also, one other thing, it really helps if you distribute your study time. Don't cram. If you want to remember for 5 minutes, well, you can just repeat something over and over. But if you want to remember for 5 months or 5 years, then study and test yourself off and on every week or so. Space out your study time. Do it in different places. Okay, well, let's put the testing effect to work. You might want to pause and ask yourself, what is the test effect and how does it work? The testing effect is the fact that recalling the answer, what we call retrieval practice, boosts memory. For example, at test time. And let me ask you another question. What are the steps of SQ3R? Do you remember? The SQ3R steps are survey, question, read, retrieve, review. So, in summary, test, test, test. Take advantage of self-testing and self-checking opportunities. Second, be active in your learning. Put things in your own words. Connect new ideas with important things in your life. Third, distribute your study time. Space study leads to much better retention than does cramming. Now I know, some people learn and remember more easily than others, just as some people naturally are faster or stronger. But for all of us, muscles grow stronger with exercise, and so do our mental muscles. Thus the good news is that test-enhanced learning is one way in which you can strengthen your memory muscles. Now, just ask yourself one last time, what is the testing effect?